It was an up and down season for Wisconsin in 2023. We're going to go through and predict every game for 2024 here in this video. First, just some thoughts on the Wisconsin Badgers. They bring in Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback, and I think it all starts right there. We've seen Tyler Van Dyke in the past look like a really good quarterback, and we've seen him look pretty bad. So which Tyler Van Dyke are we going to get? That's really, I think, going to be the key for them on offense. The offensive line should be good. The running back position, good. Ches Malusi coming back from injury. They bring in Tawee Walker from Oklahoma. Will Pauling, one of the best receivers in the Big Ten, needs some help around him potentially, and that's also a concern. They need some weapons to maybe step up and help him out at wide receiver. So the passing game for Wisconsin, I think, has potential to be very good, but also maybe will struggle. So that'll be the key for them on that side of the ball. You look at the defense, I think the secondary is the strength. I really like what they've got coming back there. Linebacker group looks better with some of the additions in the transfer portal. Defensive line, that's going to be the weakness. They just don't have a great defensive line. Didn't last year, and that's, that could be a problem. It all starts up front on defense, and if they can't get pressure on opposing quarterbacks, if they can't stuff the run, that could be a problem. But again, strength is in the secondary, and the linebackers should be better as well. So I think that could maybe make up for a defensive line that isn't great. So let's get into the predictions. Vegas has the over-under at 6.5. At first, I saw that number. I thought, wow, that's kind of low. Wisconsin should be a pretty good team. But then you look at the schedule, and you've got Alabama, you've got USC on the road, you've got Penn State, you've got Iowa on the road, you've got Oregon, you've got Nebraska on the road. That's a pretty tough stretch right there, a pretty tough schedule. And then you mix in games on the road at Northwestern and Rutgers and other games of the Big Ten. So it's a very tough schedule for Wisconsin, and I think that's why that number is as low as it is, because I think a lot of people have this team in their preseason top 25, or at least right there on the edge. But 6.5 wins, that's what Vegas says. I still think that number is a little bit low, but it does make sense because of the schedule. I think they get off to a good start, 2-0 start here over Western Michigan and South Dakota. Should be able to roll in those two games. And then it's Alabama on September 14th, a home game, big noon game. Huge opportunity for this program. And for Alabama, of course, we don't know really how good they're going to be and what they're going to look like, and now that the Nick Saban era is over. So that should be an interesting matchup here. I think Alabama's defense is going to be the problem here. Wisconsin, they're going to want to be balanced on offense. They're going to want to run the football as well as throw it, and I don't think they're going to have a lot of success running against this Alabama defense. Throwing it, again, you need more weapons than one to go up against elite athletes that'll be in the Alabama secondary. So I think Wisconsin's offense struggles in this game, and then their defense, I think, maybe has some issues as well up front with this great Alabama offensive line. So I do like Alabama to take care of this one. Wisconsin, a good enough team to hang around, but give me the Crimson Tide here in week number 3. All right, next week they're on the road at USC. This should be a good one here. I think it's a good matchup for Wisconsin. I think that their secondary matches up pretty well with these USC receivers, so that's good news. USC doesn't have the greatest offensive line, so I don't think they're able to take advantage of the strength on the Wisconsin, or the weakness on the Wisconsin defense. So yeah, it's a Wisconsin defense that I think will match up pretty well, and they're not going to stop USC, but they might slow them down a little bit. And I'm not buying into this USC defense being way better immediately. I think they will be better this year, but it's going to take some time. And so I think Wisconsin's able to really do pretty much what they want offensively. I think they have a lot of success there. I know they're shifting away from that power run game. They're wanting to throw it more, but this is a game I think they will run it at USC and maybe kind of keep the ball away from that USC offense. And then mix in some big explosive plays through the air as well. So I like the matchup here for Wisconsin, and I'm going with the Badgers to get the win on the road and upset USC. They return home the next week against Purdue. This is a game that Wisconsin should clearly be the better team here. You wonder about maybe a little bit of a hangover after a big win on the road and having to come back home all the way from California. So yeah, maybe they start slow, but I don't think Purdue is a team that's going to be capable of winning this game, especially in Madison. So Wisconsin, maybe a slow start, but they'll pull away late and get a win here over Purdue. Next game is against Rutgers on the road. This is a tricky game here. It's a Rutgers team that's going to have a good defense. We know that. I do wonder about the fact that Wisconsin maybe doesn't have a number 2 that's going to be really good at wide receiver to go with Will Pauling. And Rutgers, they've got a great defensive mind over there, and I think they come up with a scheme and a game plan to slow down this Wisconsin offense. Problem for Rutgers is going to be, can they score? Now, I do think they'll have a good run game, and so if that offensive line can win the battle up front, the game's at Rutgers, I think we might see an upset here. So I'm going with Rutgers to beat Wisconsin in this one. The next week they'll play Northwestern, and this is another upset alert type game. I could see them losing this game as well. Very similar to the Rutgers game. I don't think they're going to lose both of these games. So I do think they get upset in one of these 2 games. I'm going to say they lose to Rutgers and beat Northwestern, but you could easily flip that around. Again, you're talking about 2 similar teams and having to play them both on the road. Not the toughest places to play, but it's never easy to go on the road. And so I think Wisconsin splits those 2 games. I just don't see them winning both of them. I don't think they lose both of them, but I'm going to say they split them. Then they play Penn State the next week, October 26th. Penn State team is going to be very talented, going to be very good. They're going to want to run the football, and I think they're going to have a big advantage up front against this Wisconsin defensive line. This is arguably the best running team that they will face all year. I'd say that, this will be the best running team that they'll face all year. It's going to be a strong offensive line and 2 of the best running backs in all of college football. So it's going to be tough for them to slow down this Penn State rushing attack. The strength for Penn State, I don't think it's going to be throwing it. Again, Wisconsin, I think, would do better if you were going up against a passing team, just the way their defense is going to be this year. And so I think Penn State takes advantage of that. They run the football. They win the battle up front. And even their defense, I think, is going to have a big day. So, yeah, it's at Wisconsin, but I don't think it's going to matter. I just think Penn State is a better team top to bottom, and I think that the matchup favors them. So going with the Nittany Lions here. The next week is on the road at Iowa, November 2nd. This is going to be a really good one. No longer is this a game, though, that could potentially decide the Big Ten West because we have no divisions. This feels like there were many years where this was a huge game in that division, but not anymore. So, yeah, a tough place to play. We know that Iowa is one of the toughest in the Big Ten. You've got a team that's going to be very physical, going to be very good up front, more of what Wisconsin used to be. And so I do think Iowa wins in the trenches. I think they have an advantage there. And it's kind of like some of these other games. They're going to run the football, which is maybe what Wisconsin doesn't want you to do. They want you to throw the ball. And so I think that matchup up front is going to favor Iowa. And I think the run game for Iowa, they wear them down. They keep the ball out of this Wisconsin offense's hands. And again, at home, I like Iowa to get the win here. All right, the next game is against Oregon. They get a bye week to prepare. Really a good time for a bye week after a tough stretch there with 2 road games in a row, and then Penn State, and then another road game with Iowa. That is a tough stretch. They get the bye week, play Oregon at home. And this is a game where I just kind of like this Wisconsin matchup. I like their secondary against these Oregon receivers. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough battle because Oregon's going to have really good receivers and a really good passing game. But I think that they can balance that out a little bit, at least break even. And then you look at the run game for Oregon. It's going to be good, but I don't think it's going to be elite. And so I think Wisconsin, again, I think they'll play really well at home, coming off of a couple of losses. I think their defense will just play really inspired in this game. So I think they'll play really good on that side of the ball. Offense going up against this Oregon defense. If they can run the ball, if Wisconsin can run it, I think they'll have some success in this game. Oregon's secondary is going to be really good. So it's just one of those games where, yeah, Oregon's the better team, but upsets happen, and I just see Wisconsin pulling one off here. So going with a big upset over Oregon. The next week they play Nebraska on the road. It's going to be a tough one here, tough place to play. Dylan Raiola, he will have almost a full season under his belt, assuming he's a starter all year. So, yeah, this is going to be a tough one, but I think Wisconsin's up for the challenge. I think that their secondary, will play well. I think that Nebraska is going to be good this year, but they're not quite ready to take that next step into being one of the top teams in the conference. And I think Wisconsin is just overall a better team. It's going to be tough on the road again, but I've got Wisconsin winning this game. And then closing things out with Minnesota. Can they slow down the Minnesota rushing attack? That's going to be the challenge here. I think this is a very close game. And wouldn't be shocked if Wisconsin lost, but I think they close things out with a win. So I've got them beating Minnesota. Again, I feel like I'm high on this team at 8-4. You look at USC, could be a loss. You look at Oregon, could be a loss. You look at Nebraska, could be a loss. They could obviously beat Rutgers, maybe beat Iowa. Maybe I am a little bit high on this team, but I think that the Tyler Van Dyke we're going to see this year is going to fit well in this system. And I think they're going to play well offensively. And I really like the defense, again, in that secondary, and the linebackers improving. So I think Wisconsin can have a good season against a really tough schedule and finish 8-4. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Give me your predictions for Wisconsin down in the comments below.